Hey,
What's up, everybody?
welcome to our show. We don't have a name yet. A proposed name is Drake and Christine, because those are our names. The Drake and Christine Show. It's okay.
Well, they're going to take votes in the comments. So if you have a podcast name for us, just put it in the comments.
Please vote, because there are some very vocal people who will definitely vote. And if they're the only ones voting, then that's what we'll be called. Anyway, actually, that kind of leads into what we're talking about today. We're talking about competition. And we're talking about competition in the context of, well, it's why we have the world that we have today. Because we're all competing with each other. Like, we were just talking about today, Twitter, right? Because that's a really big topic right now, and it's as if it's the world's biggest thing going on right now. Forget that there's a war, forget that you've been locked down for 2 years, forget all the crazy things that have been going on. It's all about Elon Musk and Twitter. And on one side, you were just expressing this to me about like how the liberals or the left on Twitter are freaking out. And that's been like a major news story everywhere. It's like, oh, the left is freaking out because Elon just bought Twitter and a whole bunch of people are quitting Twitter and
Boycotting Twitter.
yeah. And they're saying now that like, oh, this is showing the corruption that was going on in Twitter. But then you were sharing with me a different take from like the far right.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of those people consider themselves like part of the more truther community. Not all of them, but just like generalized, or just, wanting to keep more conservative values. And they're also having a reaction to Twitter in the sense of like, oh, there's like some hidden agenda or something going on with this Twitter takeover by Elon Musk. Like, it's not actually what it seems, which is also like 100% true. It's not something that's being hidden or hiding. It's out in the open that there is a bigger plan that's being rolled out, and all these big tech companies and corporations that are making big moves right now, especially purchasing something like Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, that's going to have a huge implication because so many people use those platforms for expressing themselves and for speech and, sharing information and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, yes, 100%, it's going to affect what's going to happen later on down the road, especially if you're aware of, the social credit and digital ID system that's coming in. That's kind of been happening slowly.
Oh, explain, give context to that.
Yeah, so essentially what most governments are trying to implement, and it's kind of already started with the pandemic and all that, but that's kind of what got it going, but just having like a digital ID social credit system where basically all your information, I know even Ontario, Canada has already started this, where everything that is about your identity, so whether it be your birth certificate, driver's license, all of it's going to be put on a digital ID, so on your phone most likely, right? And then you can obviously your money is going to be on there and anything to purchase, right? But part of the thing that is really obvious with what the Twitter takeover is showing is that Elon Musk made a point of saying that he wants to get rid of all the spam bots and all the bots that are on Twitter right now, because there's a lot of troll bots and just probably a lot of scammy stuff, which, when you look at it, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea, because you don't want fake things like that on there.
On the surface, you're like, awesome, get rid of all the bots.
But the reason why this is so huge, and with the context that I was just giving, is that this is basically going to start out this massive rollout of digital identity and this social credit system, because that means you do have to authenticate yourself to be on these platforms. So because Twitter has such a huge influence, this is going to be probably the biggest push towards this type of society, essentially.
And the interesting thing is that'll happen voluntarily.
Exactly, and that's how they implement these types of things. Anyways, it's all you having a choice. So actually, you don't have to comply with it or anything like
I mean,
that.
you don't have to have a Twitter account.
Right. I don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah,
Like,
I do,
I mean,
but I barely use it.
well, actually, I was gonna say I do have one,
Yeah.
but I don't use it. But yeah, it's not like no one's forcing you. No one's coming to your door being like, you have to, do this thing. There always is a choice, but for a majority of the people, it's not going to seem like a choice because out of convenience, you just want to be on these platforms and all this stuff, right?
Well, how am I supposed to know about this if I'm not on the platform?
Right.
I remember like adults years ago would be like, how am I supposed to know what's going on in the world if I don't read the news or if I don't watch CNN or whatever? And now it's like, hey, if you're watching that stuff, you are not informed about what's going on.
It's funny though, because a lot of the same people, or even just now, most people will say, well, I'm not getting rid of Facebook, I'm not getting rid of Instagram because that's how I get my news. So it's just now evolved into from the TV to now what you get on your phone, essentially.
And this is the big point that I wanted to bring up, is that the reason why neither side trusts it is because we're always in competition with each other. We're always in competition. We're always like trying to survive at the expense of ourselves, of the other, of everyone. And we've never considered like what it would be or what it would look like to actually be working together on the same team. Even think about it in the context of a relationship, right? How the man and the woman are somehow competing against each other. Like, get together and then somehow, you did this thing to me, so now I'm gonna do that. It's like, it becomes this like, you have to justify your position in order to survive in your own relationship, as opposed to like working as a team. And I remember that was something that I had uncovered for myself, of like, realizing like, hey, wait a minute, we're a team here, and there's no need to feel like, she's trying to do this to me or he's trying to do that or whatever. It's like, oh no, we're on the same team. So whenever you're bringing something up, it's like, okay, yeah, you're exposing something that we can both work on together and get better at. But the point that I was making overall broadly is that this isn't anything new. I was just reading The Game of Work and what's the other one? Brave New World.
Oh yeah,
right.
I just read that too.
And Atomic Habits, yeah.
I just read both those.
And as I'm reading A Brave New World, what's really interesting about it is the way that they're indoctrinating. Like, it's like very obvious in the beginning, and they even say that's what they're doing. We're indoctrinating young children so that when they grow up, we can use them to do this. We can use them to go out into the field and work, and they'll feel within themselves like that is what they're supposed to do. They won't have any other inclination to go outside of that, and so we're doing this very specifically. And it's just so interesting to see, like, that's the world we live in. And I don't remember when that book was written.
It's in like the early 1920s or something like that. So it's been around for a while.
So
like,
this
it's one of those
idea
classics.
has been around for a while that, hey, we can indoctrinate children or we can condition children from a very young age. And, that's in behavioral science and all that.
Yeah.
But the significance of that is people don't realize that's what's going on right now. That's what's happening to us right now as a society, as people. We've been indoctrinated. We've gotten the Sesame Street, the news channel, the movies, the cartoons, all of it, the books that were read to us even.
Yeah, like Disney, Marvel,
exactly,
Pokemon,
exactly.
You name it.
They all have an agenda, and that agenda is to get you to spend money with them. And the way that they get you to spend money with them is not by teaching you everything, not by educating you, not by making sure that you understand what's going on in reality, but rather that you're just like, you're entertained. You're entertained and you can be controlled.
They have your attention.
Yeah.
And all the more reason to make almost like an emotional connection with it,
Yeah.
of why it's significant in your life. So then you just want to be involved or immersed with it in any way, shape, or form. Because you can even think of your own childhood, how you would get obsessed with like a character from a movie or something, or a superhero. Or I remember being so obsessed with Pokemon. Or remember when Pokemon made a comeback with Pokemon World on the phone? And then people were like...
Was it Pokemon Go? Pokemon Go.
Yeah, whatever you got on your
Yeah,
phone,
yeah.
and then people were like, basically getting together to participate in this virtual reality of a world. So you would just see random groups of people just like on the road catching Pokemon that you couldn't even see.
Yeah.
It was just purely like honestly, that blew my mind. It was actually kind of eerie seeing that type of stuff, because I was like, everyone's quiet because they're just looking for Pokemon. Like, this is so weird.
You know, what's interesting about that is like that gives you a really great idea of what augmented reality is going to be like. You know,
like
with
reality.
virtual reality, where like you put on some glasses and there's a Pokemon over there that you can't see because you're not in the same virtual reality that I'm in right now, you know, but everyone's going to be like participating in some form of virtual reality, and it's not necessarily going to be everyone's on the same page. It's going to be whatever's going to get you to buy, whatever's going to get you. Like, think about this: when you go on Facebook and I go on Facebook, when you go on Facebook and I go on Facebook, we see two totally different things.
Yeah.
Right? Even though we live in the same house, but like we have different sets of friends, all that, okay, that's one layer, one level. But when you go on Amazon and I go on Amazon, like, same deal. Like, when we go on any sort of internet interaction that's not just a static page and we have to like interact with it and engage with it, we see different things because it's tailored towards what's going to draw the most interaction, attention, in effect, money out of us, energy out of us.
These lizards are competing for this stick over here.
Oh, nice.
You just knocked him off.
Oh, nice. See? We even got the animals competing.
So competition, I mean, going back to the main point, it's not necessarily like a bad thing, but it's the way that it's been abused in society now, and it's so ingrained in a way where people don't see themselves as, oh, we're all on the same mission to survive on this world and ultimately live the best life. It's like, no, I'm just here to survive, get my money, you know, take care of my family, and I don't care who I harm or have to get out of the way, essentially, right? And that's not actually what's best, really. And then it's just interesting because even with all of these big tech corporations and capitalism and all this stuff, it's just perpetuating this classic, like, what is it, like, conquer and divide kind of thing. So it's like you're always just in competition with someone else because you don't share the same values or ideology or whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, I mean, we all require the same things. Like, we're all human beings. We're all living, breathing, biological, organic systems that require food, water.
Not for long.
Well,
not with this transhumanism thing going on.
But that's not even. But the thing is, there's going to be still some biological components for you to even exist. Like, you can't exist without breathing.
Yeah.
You can't exist without a heartbeat, right? It's like, how are you going to maintain those systems? So yeah, you could plug yourself into these realities, but there's still going to be the physical you that's still here. Yeah. Right. So I mean, sure, like, these corporations and companies can do whatever they want, but there's still this point of, we're all going to still be here. Right. And it's like, until what point is the competition literally almost going to implode on itself? Because we're just going to turn into this like self-destructive, self-harming society because we're all just trying to get the next high on the next thing that's like available on the virtual reality or whatever. It's
interesting because the remedy for it is really directing yourself, right? But most people do not direct themselves, don't know how to direct themselves, because they've been sold on this idea that it's all about just the experience that you can have, which to a certain extent, it's like, wouldn't the ultimate experience be living in bliss and happiness, having all your needs taken care of, knowing that everyone else has their needs taken care of, and everything that you're doing is just advancing your life. It's as in, everything that you do is what you actually want to be focused on, what you actually want to be doing. And so if you want to create something because, hey, I want to create this awesome, massive business because I think it would be a lot of fun, or I see a service that I could provide or something like that, then yeah, without the fear that if you don't do this, if you don't sit in the Frito-Lay factory and press this button every 25 seconds that you're not going to be able to feed your family. You know, like that's obviously not life, but people have to do that in order to survive. And they're competing against, well, now we're competing against robots. We're competing against others who may have more skills than us. We're competing against people who were born into wealthy families who already have like a bunch of money. So when they get started, it's not a level playing field, you know? And yet, who we're actually competing with, what we're actually competing with is really the mind. Because it's in our own minds that we're thinking that we have to live life this way, or we can't live life any different way, because our minds, again, are trying to just survive.
Yeah, and the way it survives is through energy. Right. So I like what you just said there, because it just reminded me of that quote, as within, so without, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's like that competition in the mind, it is gonna play out. It's not to say that it's only existing there. Like, that's obviously then having a direct correlation, a direct consequence to the reality that we're living in currently, where everyone else is now in competition, thinking that, oh, it's now we can just blame everybody else because this is how they're acting. But really, it's like, how many battles are going on in your mind that are then just manifesting or creating these circumstances and experiences that you have on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if you want to win a competition, win the competition with your mind. And just consider, like, when you're laying in bed and you're like, I don't want to get up. You right then are competing with your mind. You're competing with, okay, who's gonna win? Is it gonna be you get up, you start your day? Or is it your mind who's like, nah, just sleep for like a little bit longer. You know, what's another 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever? And you're like, that's your competition right there. If you can beat your mind to that, and you can continue to beat your mind throughout the day into doing what's best, like actually considering what's best. Don't just accept, oh no, it's got to be this way. Oh no, you know, I'm doing this because it's beneficial for me only, or I'm gonna feel this way, or I don't want them to have it, or I don't want them to feel good. That's all the competition that you're having with your mind, right? Consider actually what is best in the context of what's gonna be best for your life, for your family, for those around you, for the world at large. But really, I mean, what's best is, you know, us challenging ourselves, challenging our minds, and directing ourselves. That's how we're going to get to a world where, or a life even, that we actually really enjoy. Our own individual lives that we actually really enjoy. That's, you know, I've been practicing that for a while with the tools that we have and everything. And that's how we got into this awesome relationship, and much, much more. But it's all about, if you want to compete, it's the competition with the mind, and you better win.
Yeah. And, you know, it's also, I would say, just to add a couple of points, like, that's probably the biggest one, but another thing to consider would be, who are you surrounded with? Because having healthy competition within your circle of friends, like, are you all competing to see who is the best drinker on the weekends? Or are you competing with, you know, guys in your circle that are making the most sales, which then equates to more money, and then you can have a better life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having competition is not inherently bad, because as we see, like, nature has competition, whether, you know, the tiger catches the gazelle or the fox catches the rabbit. You know what I mean? Like, there's always competition, but is it in a way that's actually like giving life, or is it in a way that is abusive? Right?
Yeah. So like this, comment, subscribe, all the things you're supposed to do. Share this.
Yeah. Are we gonna make a new channel for this, or are we gonna just put it on yours?
Probably just put it on my channel.
Okay.
But come up with a name for us. Help us with that. And then maybe we might make a new channel and just call it whatever you just helped us with that name. Anyway,
all right.
See you guys.
See you next time. Bye.